Hey everyone, me Kevin here with some big changes and updates from both Team Trump, Team Biden, as well as updates on the next stimulus package. Let's get right into it for today, August 13th. And of course, this is your Meet Kevin Report, where I report news that makes you money. Quick reminder, the final lectures in the YouTube course, How to Make Money with DSLRs or iPhones or smartphones, it doesn't matter. The YouTube course pre-sale is finally coming to an end. I'm posting the final lectures today. Today, we have a lot of news that hits your pocketbook, potentially. Donald Trump has announced that he is seeking to reduce the corporate tax rate to 15%, down from 21%. This would likely be a big boost to everyone holding stocks. The corporate tax rate has already been cut from 35% in 2017 to 21% by Donald Trump in 2018. Some say this has contributed to a run-up in stock valuations, which is, of course, a natural point to recommend that you get 2 free stocks when you sign up for Webull and deposit just $100, right next to the link to get amazing life insurance in as little as 5 minutes. Trump argues that lowering the corporate tax rate is more important to the economy than keeping tax rates high and then providing social welfare. Trump said that he will do this if Republicans win the House and the Senate, and if he's reelected. That is, Republicans sweep the election. On the other hand, Joe Biden's current plan is to raise the corporate tax rate from 21% to 28%. 28% will still be 7% lower than what the corporate tax rate was under Obama, but it is almost twice what Donald Trump is proposing. Then, another tax hit today for homeowners and investors. There is a new COVID tax that has been implemented overnight by Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae to help compensate for COVID-related expenses and market uncertainty. I have 3 refinances starting later this month that are now going to cost an additional $9,875 just because of that additional tax. This is about how much money I gave away during my stimulus check giveaway. By the way, this tax was supposed to take effect September 1st, but it's already affecting people who are looking to lock their interest rate starting today. On stimulus, Larry Kudlow was interviewed this morning about the next stimulus package. Larry dodged a question about whether or not we will still need another stimulus package, and instead answered a question about whether or not we are able to borrow more money. Larry Kudlow said, "We have not reached the limits of borrowing yet, and now is the time to borrow. This is an emergency situation, and we have to reinvest money into the economy, especially when interest rates are as cheap as they are. The 10-year Treasury is at about 0.6%, and it's cheap to borrow." This is actually a somewhat sign of relief to many who are thinking, is the current stimulus package just completely frozen? If administration officials within the White House, are interested in borrowing more money to support the economy, then this is a very good sign that the administration still has on their radar money for the PPP program, money for stimulus checks. Remember, both sides are in agreement on the $1,200 stimulus checks and probably $500 for dependents. It's unlikely we'll see the $1,200 for dependents, even though there are some rumors floating around on that, and those rumors are coming from the HEROES Act, which is unlikely to get passed. Larry Kudlow also believes that a payroll tax cut and a capital gains tax cut will actually help increase labor productivity. This is sort of an example of trickle-down economics, where if it's cheaper for businesses to produce, then they might be able to produce more, and that might help increase labor productivity, and as people become more productive, well, then companies can pay them more. That's the theory, at least. Democrats, of course, on the left, assail a payroll tax cut and capital gains tax cut as really only helping wealthier individuals. Although the payroll tax cut is currently limited, or payroll tax deferral, I should say, is currently limited to those making under about $4,000 per week. Larry Kudlow also believes that this election is going to be a clear debate over more taxation versus less. Now, this could just be pre-campaigning by Larry Kudlow because he specifically points out that Biden wants to increase the corporate tax rate and Trump wants to lower the corporate tax rate and lower capital gains taxes. It is quite possible that Trump is purposely looking to drop his corporate tax rate to 15% now because this makes it very easy for him to say that Biden wants roughly a double corporate tax rate. And remember, with corporations are already getting taxed twice, once at the corporate level and then once when investors and owners take their distributions. Larry Kudlow also reiterated that they're working on solving the eviction moratorium issues. I think they are starting to realize that the executive order or executive memorandum they passed or signed into effect has little effect on actually banning evictions. And Larry Kudlow says they are aware and they are working on that. Larry Kudlow was then asked if he thinks it's possible that we might see a small deal come, including PPP funding for schools, liability protection, stimulus checks, and so on. Larry Kudlow remains optimistic that that is possible. However, currently, Democrats say they need more money for food assistance and money for state and local governments, and that's why Democrats are not interested in a small deal. Donald Trump says Democrats really aren't interested in a small deal because Democrats want money for the post office, aka money for mail-in ballots, which Trump has made very clear that he does not trust the post office to handle ballots. Donald Trump also called Kamala Harris a very angry person. Speaking of Kamala Harris, when she ran her own presidential campaign, she also had her own money agenda. This was called a 3 a.m. agenda, and that would include middle-class tax cuts, which is something that Donald Trump is seeking as well. She also calls for equal pay amongst different workers, minorities, women, men, so on and so forth, and a, quote, refundable tax credit to help with the rising costs of housing. Kamala Harris also advocated a tax on financial transactions, like a $1 tax per $1,000 in stocks. This means every time you invest $1,000 or trade $1,000 in stocks, you would pay about $1. So let's say you had a retirement account and you were to rebalance, say, $200,000 of it, you'd end up paying a $200 tax every time you rebalanced $200,000 of your portfolio, just as an example. Jobless claims fell to less than 1 million. This is the first time they've fallen to less than 1 million job losses in a 1-week period since March. Still, this is roughly about 50% higher than the pre-pandemic record of 695,000 claims for joblessness in 1 week during the 1982 recession. We're still 50% above that. This number, though, dropping below 1 million, is being celebrated as a victory and a milestone amongst most Republicans. Regarding COVID, the current death count is at about 166,000. Yesterday, we had 1,200 deaths, the highest single-day death count in 1 day since May. The New York Times, which, yes, I know leans left. I read all of your comments, and I know that, but the New York Times does estimate that while our current real death count is 166,000, the New York Times believes the actual death count might be well over 200,000, as based on their research, they think 60,000 more people have died than should have died based on previous death rates, all of a sudden, since March. All right, folks, there you have the update for today. Make sure to jump in on that YouTube course. The final 2 lectures are posting this evening, and I've got 2 posting this morning. So 2 this morning, 2 this evening. That's it. The YouTube course will be done, and the pre-sale course, will come to an end. So check that out in the link down below. And folks, we will see you next time.